Yeah. Stand up. America. Yeah. Stand up. America. They say stay quiet, pick a side, don't ask why. Smile for the cameras while the truth slips by. They preach freedom loud but sensitive speech. Sell fear in the headlines, keep us all leashed. Red, white, and blue, but it's faded and torn. Kids getting raised by a screen in a storm. Veterans broken, politicians rich. They argue on stages while the people get hit. Whoa, this ain't left or right, it's wrong or it's right. Yeah. If we don't say something, we're losing the fight. So stand up, America, open your eyes. We were built on the truth, not scripted lies. Put your hand on your heart, remember who we are. We're more than a hashtag, more than the scars. Stand up, America, this land is your name. If we don't protect it, who else can? They can cancel a voice, but they can't kill the flame. Stand up, America, stand up again. They divide us by color, by faith, by pain. Turn neighbors to enemies, call it change. Teach kids to hate where they come from first. Rewrite history, bury the hurt. I see moms working doubles just to stay afloat, while billionaires laugh from a private boat. They say trust the system, it's working fine, but the people at the bottom still standing in line. If you feel it in your chest, you're not alone. Yeah, this country's hurting down to the bone. So stand up, America, speak your truth. This place was built by the brave, not the mute. You can kneel for justice, you can pray for peace, but don't let them silence you piece by piece. Stand up, America, don't forget, every right you lose, you won't get back. They can shame your voice, try to break your name, but freedom survives when we stand up again. This isn't hate, this is love for a country that raised me. This is anger cause I know we can do better. If that offends you, maybe you're listening to the wrong message. Stand up, America, broken but proud, you don't need permission. Speak out loud, from the farms to the cities, the streets to the stars. We're still one nation, no matter the scars. Stand up, America, this is our fight. Not red versus blue, but dark versus light. They can mock us, block us, try to end the game, but America lives when the people remain. Stand up, or sit down and watch it fade. Stand up, America. Stand up again.
Hello and welcome back to Gen X Diesel, where here we tell it all. We don't hold nothing back, and we try to be right with everyone. So today's episode on This World Is Screwed Up, we're going to talk about parenting. So if you didn't see my last video, my name's Danny. I am a 54-year-old man, and I'm a Gen Xer, and I grew up in a different time than most of y'all that are probably watching this, maybe not, but I grew up in a different era. And the era I grew up in is you were told to do something. If you didn't, you got a spanking, you got a whooping, you got a beating, you got a whatever it was, however you want to put it nowadays. Now, when I'm telling you we got a whooping, we got a whooping. I mean, it wasn't no little pat on the butt or anything like that. It was a paddle, a belt, a frying pan. Yes, I said frying pan. It was whatever my mother had in reach at the time is what you got. Most of the time, it was by a hickory switch. And she wouldn't go out and get it. She would tell me, go out and get me a hickory switch, and it better be a good one. If I come back with one that wasn't good, she'd go get a good one. It had to be flexible. The tip of it had to be real thin so she could get a good little whip on me. I mean, my mom made sure it was a good one, and it worked. Did I stay in trouble? Did I get in and out of trouble? All through my years, I was always in and out of trouble. Now, I say that the whooping worked. It did work. Yeah, I still got in trouble. But I never ended up in jail. I never shot nobody. I never stole from nobody. Well, we'll get that stealing part next in a few. But I never stole anything big from anybody. I never said the wrong things to adults or anything like that. I never went and held up a convenience store or stole money from nobody. I've never done anything like that. But back in the day, when your parents told you no, they meant no. And nowadays, the parents has to tell a kid 500 times no, or 500 times to do this or to do that, or whatever the situation may be. And I just don't see it. I mean, I have grandchildren. I have two step kids. Never had any of my own personal kids. I never got blessed with my own personal kids. But I've been married twice, and my first marriage, it was for 17 years. And yes, I whooped them stepkids just like I got whooped. I mean, I didn't get anything I could find or get a switch off a tree to whip them. I used the belt, or I used a paddle. Was nothing like my mom. I mean, they could still walk when I got through whooping them. When I was a kid, I couldn't hardly walk or sit. I mean, I'm just being honest. But I made them listen. And I took that on into adulthood. And as growing up, you learn what your parents told you to do. Now, I'm from a divorced family. My mother and father divorced when I was 2 years old. And so it was basically my mom raised me. My dad was there, every other weekend, sometimes a week or two at Christmas or summer, half a summer with him and then the other half with my mom, whatever. But up till I was 10 years old, I lived strictly with my mom. I moved out when I was 10, moved in with my dad because I thought, hey, I need to be with my dad. I got tired of doing the male work. I had to do the laundry or the mowing the yard, cleaning up the house, doing the laundry, just like my sister had to do. But I had to chop the wood. I had to bring the wood in for the fire. I had to get the coal in for the fire. I had to mow the grass, weed eat the grass, take care of the dog. A lot of stuff people would say back then was a man's job. I had to do a lot of that. But like I said, I also had to help my sister with the laundry. I had to clean up my room. I had to make up my bed, that kind of things I had to do. Now, granted, when I grew up, there was no cell phone. There was no Xbox or PlayStation. Now, we did have an Atari when I grew up. My dad got my sister and I an Atari one year for Christmas, and my mom took it over when we took it home. But, we did have that. But, it was a long time before, color TV was out, but it was a long time before we got color TV. We had black and white TV up till, Lord, I believe I was maybe 7, 8 years old before we ever got a color TV. I watched American Bandstand. I watched Soul Train. I watched all that type of stuff because that's the type of music I liked. I liked the country. I liked rock. I liked a little bit of rap. I liked, I guess a little bit of soul music, growing up. I used to clog dance with my mom when I was a young kid. I loved doing that stuff with my mom. A lot of people call me a mama's boy. Yeah, I guess in a way I was, and I still am. My mom's still alive. My dad passed away. It'll be 16 years this year that he's been gone. But through life, I realized that there were things that you can get by with, things you can't get by with. I realized that you had consequences for your actions. And back to that stealing part, one day I was I'm wanting to say I was 7, 8 years old, maybe something like that. I went to the store with my mom, and you know how kids are. They're big. You know, mom, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? You know, no, 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 no. Slap the hand or pop, pop the butt. You know, pop your hand on the butt. Use your hand, pop it on the butt. You know, stuff like that. You know, would go on. You know. Now I never sat down and screamed and squalled and kicked my legs, stuff like that, because I knew if I did that, my mom would give me something to scream and yell for. So didn't do that. But I was behind her as she was unloading groceries one day at a register. I reached over and grabbed me a pack of gum and I put it in my pocket. And we went on out of the store. We got home. Well, I went outside and I opened it up and I started chewing me a piece of gum. Mom hollered for me. I went in the house. I didn't think about it. I had the gum still in my mouth. And just right off the bat, my mom said, "Where'd you get that gum at?" And I said, "I don't know." She said, "You tell me where you got the gum at, or you're going to wish you had told me where you got the gum." Right then, I knew my mom meant business. So I told her what happened, told her what I'd done. She grabbed me up, told my sister we'd be back in a few minutes because my sister was older. She could stay by herself. You know, back then, you know, nobody worried about kids staying by themselves at certain ages. So we took off back to the store. We got into the store. Mom went in. She asked to speak to the manager. Manager come to the front. My mom said, "Tell him what you did." And I pulled out the pack of gum. I already had 2 pieces because I had 2 pieces in my mouth. So 2 pieces were already gone. So at that time it was a 5-pack. You know, so there was only 3 pieces left. And I handed it to him and didn't say nothing. My mom said, "Tell him what you done." And I finally told him, you know, I took this. And he kind of laughed a little bit. And then he knew my mom was serious. And he said, "Well, son, you know that's Steven, right? You know you stole from the store, right?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know you can get in big trouble for that, right?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, do I need to call the cops on you?" And I was like, "No, sir. No, no, sir." And my mom looked at me and she looked at the manager and she said, "I think you need to call the cops." And I was like, "No, mom, no, no, mom, no, 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 mom, no, 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 no." And manager said, "Well," he said, "since it's your first time," he said, "I'll let you get by with it." He said, "Don't come back in my store and steal again. You understand?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And from the time we left the store to the time we got home, which is only probably about a 3-4 minute drive because we didn't live far from there, I got the living shit beat out of me. From the time she sat in that car till we got out of that car, I got the shit beat out of me. I got inside the house, she beat me again, sent me to my room, and that taught me a lesson that day. You don't take from others, and I heeded that warning. That's one lesson that, you know, I totally learned from, and so I thought, anyway. Let me put that there. I thought, like I said, I want to be truthful here in this video. I thought that was going to be the end of it, right? Which it was for many years. But anyway, my mom also taught me, you don't take nothing off of nobody. You don't start nothing either. If you're defending yourself, I will defend you to the end of days because you defended yourself. But if you started it, I'll be the first to take care of you. That was always embedded in my mind. I always took hold to it, and I still take hold of it today. You know, I don't take nothing off of nobody. I'm the type, you look a man in the eye, you tell him what you want to tell him, you speak truthful to that man, and that man can either believe you or not believe you, but you stick to your word. You prove to that man or woman that you mean what you say. You don't go back on your word. And so, you know, that's what I did. You know, all my life, that's what my dad taught me. My mom taught me the same thing. You stay out of trouble. Don't start no trouble, but don't take no trouble. And so I got in a fight at school one day, and the teacher, took me to the office, took the other boy to the office, and I had I think 4 other people, other kids, other students, friends of mine, or, well, we weren't really friends, acquaintances, you know. Back then you thought they were friends, but nowadays you look back and it's just acquaintances, you know. But they knew both of us, they talked to both of us, you know, they were kind of friends with both of us. But they all told the same story, that he picked on me first. I was always a big boy growing up, but he picked on me about my size and what I wore to school, because we wasn't real rich. You know, we couldn't afford real good stuff. I wore a lot of hand-me-downs from my cousin, and picked on me quite a bit. And I finally got tired of it, and I told him off. He shoved me. When he shoved me, that was it. Mom said, "Don't start it, but finish it." So I finished it. I ended up breaking my nose. You can tell my nose is a little crooked here. I ended up breaking my nose, and I was 9 years old when this happened. And they really didn't do nothing. They said it wasn't that bad, that I would be okay, which nowadays I can't breathe that well. You know, it could have contributed to that. I don't know. But anyway, my mom went inside the school, went to the principal, come to the principal's office, and the principal told her what went on. And the principal said, "I have 4 witnesses that says that your son did not start it, but he did get in a fight, so I'm going to have to suspend him out of school for 2 days." And my mom said, "Well, if he didn't start it, why should he get suspended?" I said, "Well, because that boy had to go to the hospital, and they may end up bringing charges on your son for hurting the boy." And my mom said, "Well, if they bring charges on my son, they might as well bring charges on me too, because if he's defending himself like I told him to, then he's not in fault. The other boy is." Well, about 3 months, I'm going to say, something like that. You know, when you're a kid, time just rambles on, or, you know, mixes in with each other. It was a while, but I'm going to say about 3 months or so, we found out, because the boy never come back to school, and didn't know why. Like I said, about 3 months ago, 3 months later, come to find out, I broke the boy's jaw and they had to wire it shut. So he was out of school for 3 months. He ended up eventually coming back, but he got a 3-month, which he got back right about the time school was getting ready to get out for the summer. But he got a bereavement, or whatever they call that, where they went ahead and passed him anyway, because he done his work at home. His mom would come by and get this, you know, his school work, blah blah blah. He ended up not graduate. He ended up going on to the next grade. So did I. But he come up to me the first day he was back. He was still wearing some wiring and stuff, and he could talk, he could eat and stuff, but he was still wearing stuff. And he come up to me in front of the teacher and the principal, because they called me to the office. What they did, and they had him come to the office, and he come up to me in front of the teacher and the principal and told me that he was sorry for what he done, and that what had happened was his fault. And that's all it said. And from that day on, me and him was pretty good friends then. You know, I never held no grudge. I just handled business. I was done. You know, I could be your friend if you want to be my friend. If not, you can go your way, I'll go my way. We connect again. Let's just not do it again. Basically, that's the way it was. And so, you know, I did, from what I can gather, from what I've been told by doctors and that kind of thing at that time, I had a blackout moment, and it just, I guess I held up all the anger of him, you know, putting me down for my clothes, putting me down for my size, you know, that kind of thing. I think I held it back for so long that when it finally went to that point, I just let it all come out. You know, when he shoved me, I shoved him. He swung at me, he missed. I went swinging at him, I missed. He grabbed me in a headlock. We started wrestling. When we went down to the ground, that's where I broke my nose. I hit a rock, it broke my nose. I saw the blood. When I saw the blood, I just went to wailing. I hit and swung until I couldn't no more. I mean, literally. I mean, there wasn't no teachers around. They didn't get there in time. I done it so much that I stopped. I was wore out. And like I said, you know, broke his jaw. It is what it is. That's the way I've been all my life. You know, you can push me to so much. I I got a good heart. I was raised to have a good heart. I was raised to know that we all bleed the same color of blood when we get cut. We all come from Jesus Christ, and He created us, and we're all together. No matter what color of skin you got, no matter what language you speak, we're all one, and that's the way we all should be, one. Now, time goes by, people change, and so I don't know where I left off. My phone just cut out on me for some reason. I think the last thing I was talking about, it may be a repeat. If it is, I'm sorry, apologize. But I got in a fight with that kid. Like I said, we become friends. Life changes us. Life goes on. Life has situations that gets in its way. We change as we get older. We start falling in a different crowd or something. Something keeps us from being close like we were, and I guess that's life. But I moved in with my dad when I was 10. I hurt myself riding a bicycle and messed up my jaw and stuff. And I told my mom, I just want to move in with Dad. I was tired of being the only man in the house, doing all the man stuff. I wanted to finally be able to be a teenager, or a soon-to-be teenager, a kid, and be able to do kid things. Now, Mom let us do this, go outside and play, which no kids go outside and play nowadays. And I know some areas that you don't want your kid going out because they might get shot, or kidnapped, or whatever the situation may be. Where I grew up, I lived down a fairly nice neighborhood. Nobody got kidnapped. These kids were out there all the time. We didn't have to be home until the street lights come on, then we had to be home. Other than that, parents didn't care about the kids. They knew that we were either 3 houses down to another friend, or 3 houses up the other street to another friend's house, or they were running the street, or in the woods playing, or whatever the situation may be. But anyway, I wanted to move in with my dad, and I wanted to start doing things with my dad. I wanted to be with my dad more. He drove a truck. I used to ride with him, ever so often in his truck, and I loved it and hated it. Love-hate relationship with the truck driving deal. But I guess the biggest part is I got to spend it with my dad. That was the biggest part. And but this, like I said, this is part 1 of parenting, and in my opinion, why kids are the way they are nowadays. I'm going to leave it at that, since I'm having issues out on my phone for whatever reason. Don't make it too long. But don't forget to hit likes and share. Part 2 of this will be coming out very soon. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get something out of it. I'm an old 54-year-old man that just trying to do the best he can and being the best person he can be. So until then, I appreciate you with me. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate you spending your time with me. And let's chat again. Thank you so very much. Have a great day. Maybe if I can get my things to work, you'll have a great day.